Business class upgrade, if there is room. I used to work at a regional airline. The jet we used for our flight to the big city had 6 business class seats. The business class service was really good for a 2-hour flight. It included a full bar service, a hot meal, warmed bread basket, followed by a trolley with dessert and signature coffee. The good old days. One of our regular travelers was a local business owner who was just a slimy businessman, SB. Haha, had a reputation for making a lot of money from some pretty shady deals over the years. We would roll our eyes when we saw him coming to the check-in counter because he would always name drop and ask for special treatment. He always used the business class check-in line even though he was usually in economy. He didn't have frequent flyer status, but he was buddies with one of the airline executives and always let us know this fact when he checked in by making sure to tell us that he was good friends with Vice President Karen. He would always ask for free upgrades, extra baggage, not charging a change fee, last-minute discounts, etc. If he didn't get what he wanted, he immediately called VP Karen, who would usually then call us and approve whatever it was he wanted. So one day SB checks in for his flight to the big city, and of course name drops and asks for a free upgrade to business class because I'm friends with VP Karen and said it would be okay. He was traveling on a discounted ticket that was not eligible for upgrade even if he did have an upgrade coupon, which he didn't. I informed him that he was not eligible for any upgrade on this ticket and gave him his boarding pass and sent him on his way. Of course, he flips open his cell phone and immediately calls VP Karen. Within 2 minutes the phone at the check-in desk rings and it's VP Karen authorizing me to override the policy to upgrade SB to business class with no upgrade coupon required, if there is room. The flight that day wasn't that busy and only one person booked in business class, leaving 5 open seats. I was really irritated, but I begrudgingly put SB on the upgrade list anyways. He returned to the check-in counter and picked up his standby boarding card and gave me that smug, told you so, look. But then what VP Karen said clicked with me, if there is room. The next passenger I checked in was a super nice lady, big smile, friendly, please and thank you. Oh, thank you so much for checking my bags to my connecting flight, that's so nice of you. I was taking my time and we were chatting a bit since it wasn't that busy. She was a teacher going on a trip to see her family and it was her first visit with them in over a year and was going to meet her new little nephew for the first time. She was overjoyed just to have the time off to travel. I typed in a few things into the computer to make it look like I was checking something about her connecting flights and then said, "Oh, you have been selected today to receive a free upgrade to business class." She was shocked. I've never flown business class in my life. This is so amazing. At that time we were rarely questioned if we upgraded someone without a certificate. Over the next 20 minutes I found excuses to upgrade 4 other passengers. One who worked for one of our top corporate accounts, one who was legitimately a frequent flyer, can't remember the other reasons, but by the time I went to board the flight I had total SB that I was sorry but business class was full and couldn't offer him an upgrade today. The teacher I upgraded profusely thanked me again when she boarded with the rest of the business class passengers. Little did she know that IT really made my day also. Leaving on time. I wish I had been the person practicing malicious compliance here, but it was one of my colleagues, Steven. I worked night shift at the testing site for Amahor Medical Laboratory Network. The shift was busy because patient specimens were collected at service centers during the day, and couriers would bring all these specimens to the testing site, starting in the evening and continuing well into the night. My shift ended at 7 a.m., when the day staff would arrive and take over the analyzers. The night shift supervisor had told me that if any couriered shipments arrived after 6 a.m., I should leave them for the day shift to do, because at 6, I needed to do end-run quality control on the analyzers, clean them, and file my paperwork. No time to start running a late batch of specimens, and we wouldn't get overtime for staying late to do those. But the day shift supervisor, Lily, didn't like it when samples were left for her staff to process, and she told me that I should be more efficient and get them done, somehow. Then one morning she made a mistake. Instead of me on the night shift, it was Steven. Lily came in at about 6:30, at the same time that a large batch of late specimens was dropped off. "Steven, you have to process those," she said to him. Steven didn't argue. He loaded all the specimens on the analyzers. And then, at exactly 7 a.m., he quietly went home. The day shift is typically busy at the start, so no one noticed that he had gone at first. Then the analyzers started producing results, flagging problematic specimens and so on, and everyone was searching for him. Had he gone to the washroom? Had he said anything to anyone? Where was the paperwork? What needed to be done now? Everyone was confused, and the situation created far more work than if the day shift had simply taken over from the start. Lily hated Steven after that. But she never again told him to process late specimens either. You don't move cars in the wrong spaces? Well, I'll park here then. This happened to me back in early 2015. We just recently made the move to purchase a new EV. At the time, the batteries in the EVs were small compared to today and only had around a 60 to 80 mile range. Well, one of our first larger journeys was to a shopping center about 60 miles away. We chose to go to this shopping center as it also was one of the first places to have EV charging compared to other shops, and at the time the charging was still free, so we hoped to go there, get a free charge while shopping, and then head home with a full battery. Before we set off, we checked the charger was working through its app, and once we were happy, we made the journey. When we arrived, we found where the chargers were placed and ran into our issue. They were working fine, but they were fully blocked by non-EV cars. The bays were marked, but for whatever reason people had parked in them. No worries, I thought, and I went into the center Toth information desk to ask if they would announce for whoever to pop to their car to move it. They said they didn't do that and wouldn't. I explained I needed to charge to get home and could they please make an exception. They would not, and so I angrily dropped a hint about them clamping the car or leaving a ticket on it. They said they don't do that either. In fact, the car park was not monitored at all as it was free to park for the day, so no cameras were needed to monitor the car park and there were no car part attendants. So you don't do anything about incorrectly parked cars? I asked. The answer I got was a firm no from the information desk person, and they really didn't want to be bothered again. As I got back to the car, I saw there was a pavement to the edge of the chargers. The chargers were situated close to the building, but the pavement wasn't a place that wouldn't be used much when walking around the car park. It also didn't lead anywhere, and more importantly didn't lead to any disabled or parent parking spots. It was also very wide, which gave me an idea. I then drove to the end of the car park, mounted the wide pavement, made sure there was no one around, and slowly drive to the chargers. My cable then reached. I started the charge, locked the car, and went shopping. I got back to the car at the end of the day with some form of employee, possibly security, but wasn't sure, in front the center looking perplexed at our car parked on the pavement. I just unlocked the car, pulled the cable away, and drove off with a full charge. Safe to say the next time I went a year later, there were signs on the EV bays stating parking restrictions. There was a fine for non-EVs, and they were marked with more paint to make them extra obvious. Oh, and a couple of bollards at the end of the pavement where I mounted the curb. TLDR. The EV space was blocked that I needed, and they don't ticket cars, so I parked on the pavement for the day. Destroy your equipment? Let me gather an audience. TLDR. A customer thought he knew better than me and insisted I perform a destructive test to prove me wrong. I wasn't wrong. Background. I used to test circuit breakers for a living. The large industrial versions of what you have in your home electric panel. Like the ones at home, most industrial circuit breakers have two means of detecting an overcurrent condition. Thermal, literally an element that heats up for seconds or minutes before opening the beaker, intended for small to moderate overcurrent events, and magnetic, reacts almost instantly to very high overcurrent events. For special applications like firefighting pumps, you can buy circuit breakers which have magnetic only. Test methods are specified by the manufacturer and by the International Electrical Testing Association, NETA, OUTTAIL. I was testing a large number of circuit breakers at a customer facility. Customer representative, C, got used to my pattern of testing a group of thermal elements, allowing them to cool down, and only then testing the magnetic elements. When the fire pump circuit breaker came to my test station and I only tested it for magnetic trip, he objected. C, hey, why did you skip the thermal? Me, this is a magnetic-only breaker. C, there's no such thing. Me, here's the manufacturer data showing the magnetic trip curve but not showing a thermal trip curve. C, that doesn't mean it doesn't have a thermal trip. I want it tested. Me, oh, big K. Well, since I don't have a curve from the manufacturer, I don't know how long it should take to trip. How long do you want me to test? C, the NETA testing manual says that without a curve, if it trips in less than 300 seconds, it is good. Me, please sign here that you're making me do this test. C, okay, signs the paper, not realizing this was supposed to make him suspicious. Having failed my first attempt to scare him off this foolish path, I try another tactic. Me, on radio. Hey, coworker, I'm about to test the thermal element on a fire pump breaker. You want to watch? Coworker, it doesn't have one, idiot. You're gonna destroy the customer's breaker. Me, yeah, I told him that. He doesn't believe me. Coworker, I'm on my way. Coworker arrives and goes to explain to the customer, but, see, you're both wrong. I'm an engineer and you're just technicians. Do the test. Coworker, we're gonna need you to sign. See, I already signed. Just do the test, so I start the test. All morning, the previous thermal tests have been running 8 to 10 seconds before tripping. For this test, 10 seconds pass, then 20, then at 30 the breaker starts to smoke a little, and by 40 seconds the smoke is pouring out. A bit in my hand is hovering over the stop button, but I'm not stopping until he admits he's wrong, because he told me it wouldn't be a failed test until 300 seconds. He gives in just before the 60-second mark. Then I ask, "Can you bring me the spare breaker from inventory please? This one cannot go back into service," and his face takes on a panicked expression. They didn't have a spare. Good thing the local electrical distributor was open on a Saturday.